Okay, welcome to another episode of what has been trending within the last 24 hours. My name is Angelo, your anchor. I know you've been enjoying our updates so far, and I told you what, I will not always back down, not forget to bring you lots of updates, especially the ones that will blow your mind. Now, stay tuned. Now, first of all, I have something quite different, and this will shock you. Did you know that Bola Ahmed Tinubu might be disqualified as the president of Nigeria, and he will come or go into history or go down in history as the first Nigerian president ever to be sacked from office? Did you know? All right, this particular update is going to show you the extent to which Labour Party has indicted this president, and this is not a good news for members of the All Progressive Congress and members of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Now let me show you what I mean. There has been a documentary I fetched out for your understanding and assimilation, you our viewers, so you will be able to understand the extent to which the extent of trouble to which APC and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu are in right now. Lots of people have been asking me, hey Angelo, is Labour Party going to win? What is even the premise under which Labour Party may win? What are the evidences and so on? Lots of people didn't attend the court sessions, and then lots of media personalities were not allowed to use cameras or media devices at the court session or in the appeal court. But don't worry, I have you covered. Now, this documentary is going to tell you the evidences that were tendered by Labour Party to the Honourable Court, and then you will see how these evidences will indict or put Tinubu in trouble, and then you will listen to the possible outcomes that the court can give. This is a brief and a very, very good analytical point of view that will tell you to what extent, what dangerous extent this case is indicting APC and their principal Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Stay tuned and watch, pay attention and watch and listen, watch this particular documentary. You will know the evidences tendered by the Labour Party. You will know how much problem is in this particular petition according to what the INEC and the APC will carry on their heads. Now watch this. More details when I come back.
Labour Party tendered certified true copies of Forms EC8As from INEC. These are hard copies that INEC claimed they fell back on. They had to do manual collation since they didn't do upload at the polling unit. Although INEC didn't supply all the copies requested by the Labour Party despite being under subpoena, but at least they tendered the ones they got from INEC. So that's number one. The second batch of documents are the IREV copies certified by INEC. All the uploads on IREV, including the more than 18,000 polling unit results that are blurred and unreadable. No matter the reason that INEC is giving that prevented them from using IREV copies to do collation, IREV is still recognized by the electoral law. So that is why Labour Party submitted IREV copies. IREV copies should be the same as hard copies. When you pick one polling unit result in a particular area and search for it on the IREV, the result should be exactly the same thing because that result was snapped at the polling unit and uploaded. The third evidence that they submitted to prove that they won the election is the Beavers report. What is the importance of the Beavers report? Beavers report will show overvoting. Beavers machines are used to accredit the voters before they are able to vote. So if the number of voters in a particular polling unit are more than the number of accredited voters, it is simply overvoting. What does the law say in case of overvoting? What should happen? It says that in places where overvoting occurred, that results there must be cancelled. So expect the tribunal to cancel many results in places where they detect overvoting. The fourth evidence that they submitted to prove that they won the election is the statement by one of their witnesses, the professor of mathematics, who made all the calculations and tabulated all their figures and arrived at the fact that Peter Obi won the election. His statement and analysis and tabulation of the results were tendered to the court. They have the information. It is not the fault of the Labour Party that the defendants did not bring any witness to counter what they tendered. Because normally if someone is making an accusation, made an accusation against you and you people end up in court, You are supposed to come to court and say, hey, I didn't do what this guy is accusing me of. I'm innocent. You just lay down everything, tell your story, and be proved right. But in this case, INEC didn't do anything. They just called one witness against Labour Party. Tinubu's council called only one witness. APC didn't call any witness. So it is not the fault of the Labour Party that the figures are not known as at now. Granted that the figures that INEC announced has been taken as the official position, but it doesn't negate the fact that the election was rigged, that the process leading to the announcement was in gross violation of the electoral law and their own guidelines. They feel because of that they don't need to defend anything, that they don't even need to submit documents that are required from them, that the burden of proof lies with the petitioner, despite the petitioner serving them subpoena from the same tribunal to tender the documents so that they can prove their case. So it's a mix of many things, impunity and taking advantage of the law. Now, having seen all the evidence that they submitted to prove that Labour Party actually won the presidential election, many might still be thinking, why didn't Labour Party submit their political party copies of the presidential election results? That if they truly have them and it was from there that they calculated the results, why didn't they submit it? Like you already know, the political party copies are the third on the ladder when you're talking about presenting evidence about the election. So that was why they relied on INEC CTCs, although not complete, but the tribunal judges will get a picture of where they are coming from. Now the question arises, where will this evidence lead to? Will the judges just close their eyes and agree with Labour Party based on the statement of the professor that they won the election, without the Labour Party tendering their party agent copies to back up the calculation made by the professor? Will they just allow the results and say, yes, you are the winner, go? It's not straightforward, but let's look at the Beavers report. If the judges are able to verify the Beavers report from INEC themselves, that means overvoting will be proved. They will now cancel the elections in places where there was overvoting. After cancellation, what next? Because when you cancel elections in many places, it will affect the number of votes of the candidates. So definitely many people will lose votes. Like already said, APC will lose more votes than others. So this will affect their total number of votes. What will happen in this case? Definitely the judges will order a recollation of the results. They will invite INEC to come to court and recollate the results. If that is the decision, which results will INEC rely on to recollate the results to find out the actual winner of the presidential election? So in terms of determining who won the presidential election at the Presidential Election Tribunal, it seems that the judges will arrive at 3 conclusions, or maybe 4. But before we go through all of them, let's see which presidential election results that INEC will use to recalculate the votes in case a recollation is ordered by the court. All parties have closed their case, so there's no more room to admit or tender evidence. So that stage has passed. The court will rely on all the evidence before them, the IRF copies and the hard copies tendered by the Labour Party. And since they are the same thing, they will just use the IRF copies to do the collation. In places where they are not available, they will default to the hard copies. So INEC will recollate the results to determine a winner. If they are not able to arrive at a winner, that means there will be a runoff election.
Okay. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? That means Asiwaju is in trouble, right? Yes, he's in big trouble because if this particular petition hearing goes forth after the Court of Appeal, we're going to the Supreme Court, if this goes further, I don't think they will be able to escape. And to make matters worse, APC did not present any useful witness. The council to Asiwaju provided one witness, Okweyemi Bamidele, the majority leader of the house. And that man, I don't think he was a witness because he put Asiwaju in more trouble than can be imagined. And then INEC provided only one witness. That means they don't have a defense over this. So all eyes are on the judiciary. Let's see to what extent they will give their judgment to the favor of the welfare of Nigerians. Yes. Secondly, the National Population Council, NPC, have gone at it again. Do you know what they did this time? They have asked the federal government and the president for an additional whooping sum of 256 billion naira. in order to conduct this already suspended exercise after they have been paid with another whooping sum of over 200 billion in the past before they postponed the exercise. So what are you saying? What do you need all these cashes for? Okay, now the chairman of the commission, Nasir Kwara, really came on board during a courtesy visit to the State House to see the president with his colleagues in the office, where they allegedly and publicly asked for more funds in order to conduct the suspended population census exercise. I'm angry, but I cannot be angry forever because I'm not in the government, but the government belongs to us. So they shouldn't spend money extravagantly. Yes, so watch this documentary where these people from the NPC, headed by their chairman, Nasir Kwara, were asking for an addition of more 256 billion naira. Wow, that's too much. That's too much. Are you INEC? That's too much. So listen to this.
So we briefed him fully on the level of our preparedness, the outcomes that we envisage. And I'd like to say that Mr. President has graciously approved to support the Commission in the conduct of the census. And our preparatory activities, though, were not stopped at all, but he has given us the courage, the impetus to upscale our preparation. So we will continue our preparation, and we'll hear from him eventually the date that the census will take place, because we made a submission to him that he will study before getting back to us.
He explained that the commission requested the president's approval for an additional 225 billion naira to cover training and fieldwork allowances, retraining of trainers, and the conduct of a second-class trial census.
We may have to incur additional expenses if we stay much longer than necessary. As for the expenditure of 200 billion, no doubt we have incurred that expenditure. Conducting a digital census is not cheap. And mind you, this is like a foundational census. Subsequent censuses will not be this expensive.
Nigeria happens to be one of the first in Africa that has generated the kind of data, geospatial data that we have generated for the census. And this geospatial data is going to be integrated with the statistical data that we are going to collect on the field.
In a state.
All right, you've heard it there, and it's left for us to see if the federal government is going to approve that whooping amount of money. These are lots of money going to exercises that are not even holding, just like the way INEC collected over 300 billion and then gave us a sham and less credible or non-credible elections. The NPC have come out with their whooping budget to collect more money. It's painful because, yes, it's not our money, but these monies are meant for our welfare, all right? Welfare of Nigerians. They should be used for better things. There is insecurity, higher level of insecurity bothering the country right now. I think more things should be done about that. Dele Alake spoke to them as an answer. I don't know if our president doesn't want to talk, or if he's if he feels he's a president so he shouldn't talk, rather his spokesperson should talk, or if Dele Alake is now our president, we don't know. But I think it's high time Dele Henry Alake, the spokesperson of the president, should stay clear of president matters or issues that are bothering to the presidency. Now, there is a proverb that says, the chameleon once said, I would never stop my forefathers' way of walking because the bush is on fire. I have an update pertaining to this proverb, and I will explain briefly. Before I explain, let me urge our viewers, both old and incoming, tap the subscribe button, tap the notification bell, so you'll always be the first with first-hand information anytime we drop new videos. Don't also forget to like, share this video, and watch till the end. Don't also forget to drop a comment for us in the comment section, because we are here because of you. Thank you so much for your actions over time. Now, the chameleon said, because the bush is on fire, I will never change my forefather's style of walking. Now, let me reverse that proverb. Now, because the bush is on fire, the chameleon has learned how to run fast. You're asking why I twisted the proverb, right? Why I reversed it. Now, there have been incessant kidnaps in the Osun State, outlets of the state, Ondo State, and so on and so forth. Even in Ogun State, I brought you an update yesterday that an APC chairman in Ekiti State was kidnapped. Now, because he has been kidnapped and lots of big dignitaries have been kidnapped, all the senators in those areas in the National Assembly are now affected. So they have decided to make a report. One Honorable Timain Adelekwe had to raise a motion in the National Assembly to the Speaker for kidnap to be addressed in the southwestern area of the country, because his brother, one Mr. Bola Adelekwe, was kidnapped, and this same Adelekwe is the local government chairman of Oshe local government in Ondo State. So because all of a sudden his brother was kidnapped, he now wants the house to do something about it. Why hasn't he spoken all the while? Kidnap is not good, murder is not good, lots of murder killings are going on in the southwestern areas of the state, of the country, I beg your pardon. But nobody has spoken up in these regions until when his brother was kidnapped. Let me allow you watch the video where this particular senator was complaining over his brother's kidnap and the incessant killings and murder and kidnaps in his own constituency. Stay tuned.
My mission is on the need to address the incessant killing and kidnapping by herdsmen and bandits in Ose local government area of Ondo State. The House notes the persistent killing and kidnapping of innocent citizens of Ijagba, Imoru, Molege, Arimugija, Ute, and Okulise Aziz in Ose local government area by herdsmen and bandits, who have kept the communities in the perpetual siege and bondage, leading to wanton loss of lives, properties, and farmlands. Also note that in the last 2 years, over 50 innocent lives have been lost, with several kidnapped unaccounted for, including the recent killing of Mr. Isaac Ohimere and his son Solomon Ohimere. While his father was murdered, the son was released after payment of 400,000 ransom. Recall that in the same local government, one of the foremost traditional rulers of the state, the late Oba Israel Adeusi, the Olufon of the Fon, was shot dead while returning from a function in the state capital on 26 November 2020. Also recall that Mr. Bola Adelegbe, my old junior brother, a former chairman of the local government, since he's kidnapped on 23rd April 2023 on the same route, had not been released despite payment of substantial amount of his ransom. Aware that the bandits and herdsmen are still operating unhindered from the forest reserve spanning almost 10 kilometers behind Okeluse, where they have converted to their permanent base to perpetrate their heinous crime against those innocent communities. The House observes that members of the communities, who are mostly farmers, have been denied access to farms and means of livelihood due to the persistent attacks by herdsmen. Conscious that ensuring security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government under Section 14, subsection 2 and B of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 Constitution as amended. The House resolves to urge the federal government to set up a well-equipped and properly motivated joint security task force to curb the Okeluse Forest Reserve to address this menace once and for all. Also urge the Inspector General of Police to urgently dispatch enough personnel to the troubled communities to keep the herdsmen at bay and to take over the investigation on the whereabouts of my junior brother, Mr. Bola Adelegbe, the kidnapped former local government chairman of Ose local government, who had not been seen hitherto. further urge the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to, as a matter of urgency, send relief materials to the affected communities that were not able to access their farmland. Mandate the Committee on Legislative Compliance and National Security and Intelligence were constituted to ensure compliance. I so move. Thank you.
All right. We urge the Speaker to please reiterate these particular issues to the presidency so that insecurity will be tackled immediately by the presidency, not just in the southwest, in the north too, in the north central, and in the southeast to be precise. Thank you so much for staying with us. Hope you enjoyed our times together. I would love to see you again with my updates. See you next time. Bye.